Welcome back to another episode of the Challenge Insiders on Reality Pop. We're going to be talking about the Challenge Season 37, Episode 2, and the champ is here. Chantel, how are you doing?
I'm
Previous
the
champ off the draft picks. You're the champ of
that's
the
true,
draft
actually.
picks.
I'm not going to lie. I did a pretty good
She's
job.
coming in with that swagger, right, Drew?
Like, oh, who, me? Yes, I'm doing really well. Like I said last week, I really am enjoying this season way more than I even expected. And even though, like, I chose this person in front of my draft, but, like, I don't actually like them, you know? But, like, I don't know. I'm just, like, I enjoyed the episode. I like these new characters. I want to see some of them come back. Like, it was a great episode. I enjoyed all parts of it. It was perfect. Not perfect, but, pretty good.
100%. And also, we've got Mr. Drew. Drew, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I think Devin needs to come up with something to cash in with this #1 draft pick, because 2 weeks in a row he's being stolen like he's a precious diamond. I'm surprised, but you know what? Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, Devin is loving it, right? He's like, I'm getting picked ahead of CT. Yeah. I'm getting picked. Yeah, his ego is at an all-time high. So I don't know where it's going. It must just be because Devin is someone that's less intimidating than some of the other vets, and maybe some of the rookies are feeling like they can work with him a little bit better or something. There must be something really disarming about him. Why do we think he's getting picked all the time at the moment?
I think that maybe Emmy just doesn't know. Wait, was it Emmy? It was Emmy, yeah. Doesn't know any better. And so she's thinking that, maybe he is really good when Michelle picked him before. I personally don't think that she was very strategic about it, because if that were the case, I think she should have picked somebody maybe a little bit better and a more all around. But I love that he was picked, though. I think it's hilarious. But I think it's worse for him. I think he was in a better partnership with Michelle.
I think Emmy doesn't know any better. She tried to fight for immunity this round.
I think the post show said that he was well connected. He's very sociable. So maybe he's getting closer to all the rookies than, say, a lot of the other vets. And I also think that Emmy picked better, because I think she could use the brains and some more political game. Whereas I don't think Michelle needs it. I think she needed some more buffness on her side when she picked Devin. So I actually like Emmy picking Devin. Maybe it's not as great on Devin's side, but you know what? He's getting picked, so he's having fun no matter what.
100%. It's quite interesting. This episode, I definitely saw Michelle's Survivor winning game come out to play a little bit here the next day when she went up to Tracy to go and defuse the situation because she stole Tracy's partner. And immediately when she was there, I was like, yeah, she's got the social game. This is why she's won Survivor before. She knows how to go and cover her tracks.
That is exactly what I was saying when I saw that scene. I'm like, Michelle's just Michelling, having that one-on-one, really building that apology and the friendship and that relationship. She didn't really need to do that in this situation, but she did that, and it's part of why she is so good at Survivor and social strategy games, because she makes people feel good about her being around. So yeah, Michelle was Michelling.
Now, I do want to talk about Ed here, comes in, new kid on the block, gets into the house. People are trying to get to know him. He's just saying, listen, they're going to underestimate me. I'm an Ivy League engineer. I've got the brains. I don't just have the muscle, the bulk coming into this season. And what a breath of fresh air. I'm a bit of an Ed fan, to be honest with you. He's got such great energy. He's so positive. Even when he gets thrown down into the lair, he says, everybody wants to see the biggest and two baddest guys go at it. and he's just got such a cool attitude. I'm a big Ed fan. I'm hoping he goes deep. I think that he's going to fit in really well with the challenge, in the future. If this is what he's bringing us with the limited amount of time that we've seen him on the screen so far.
Yeah, I wasn't really excited about Ed coming onto the show. I was I watched The Circle, of course. I don't specifically remember him, his season, because I've seen a few seasons since then. And then his brother, it was on the next season. So it was the most recent season. So I don't fully remember how I felt about him then. I just remember being why him out of all people? Honestly, he is a really good person to be bringing into the challenge. What I love, kind of to echo what you're saying here, Chris, is that he is so positive, and he's not going to be super bitter or super angry at people throwing him in. He's not going to carry a big chip on his shoulder and have any of that kind of negative aggression that some people get when they're targeted all the time. And so I like that he's encouraging to his partner. He's not getting mad at anybody when he's thrown down in there. And he's actually pretty good. I was shocked when I heard that he was like an Ivy League engineer. I was like, you've impressed me. He's impressed me today.
You might not recognize him because his mom was on the season with him. So, I mean, if with her not being right there next to him, you might not recognize him.
I think his hair is longer too, is it?
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Yeah, he had a very different cut. Yeah, very different cut.
But I agree with both of you. Ed is amazing. I mean, I watched this season going like, whatever. Like, I don't think we got enough of his personality, and I don't think it fits the circle. I mean, you're secluded. He was with his mom. It was weird a little bit to be kind of in the game. And so coming into this, he's just like letting loose, and it's amazing. And even in the post show, he talked about how he went up to Fessy and Esther going like, if you want to throw me in, throw me in. I don't care. I'll go in. I got to go see it anyways at some point. He knows he's a rookie. He's going to get thrown in. Why not do it now? And if he wins against such a big dude, Kells, then it's like, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, I like that he still has the friendliness and the playfulness about being on the show. I think it really serves well to not have somebody that's like completely angry about going in. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, it's a massive breath of fresh air for me seeing him come in and have this positive attitude. I mean, Emmy struggles. He's supportive of Emmy throughout, with the daily challenge, which she doesn't do well. She has a breakdown. I mean, we'll talk about Emmy because that's a whole different conversation on its own. But, the other thing about Ed that we should also take into consideration, when he was playing in The Circle, I remember that season. I remember him coming in. I didn't recognize him. I wasn't sure if he was the younger brother or the older brother because his hair was so different when he came into this one. But I think he's the older brother, and the other guy is the younger one who played the second season. And he came in really late in that season with his mother. So we saw very little of him in that season. Like, he was only on our screens for a couple of episodes at most. I think they made the end because they were so late in the season when they came in. It's one of the things about The Circle I don't particularly like. I'd rather have many people there from the start and get them to cut off because because you've got your favorites from the beginning of the season because they were there from the beginning of the season, opposed to these people that come in very late. So I think all of those things kind of counted against them a little bit. Let's talk about Cal's this episode. Cal's massive target on his back. I mean, he's such a big player. And to me, when I look at Cal's, I feel like Cal's is everything that Fessy wants to be. Cal's is an alpha. Like, he's a true alpha. That conversation where Fessy goes and talks to him at the club to try and make a deal after he already won the daily challenge, and Cal's turning that back on him and saying, that's such a beta move, basically, to come to me and come from a position of power, trying to like strong arm me into a deal here, and I'm not going to take it. Bad social gameplay by Cal's, but major alpha energy. You're right. So love Cal's. And he was dealt such a bad hand, I believe, having Tracy with him there in the elimination. I feel like she's a very kind person. I think she's a lovely person, but I don't know if the challenge is for her. And he was handicapped here quite a bit going into this elimination in the lair.
Well, I didn't know that I was going to have a crush on Kel, so I understand what Tori was feeling in this episode, or like up until now. I saw him on Too Hot to Handle. I thought he was obviously very attractive and like, he was a good-looking guy. But on this show, like, his alphaness is so sexy, and like Fessy has none of it. Like, Fessy, you are totally bang on the money. Like, he would love to have that bravado that Kel's have, that just like, he's charming, he's good looking, he's taller than Fessy. Love it. He's not like going to cower.
He doesn't lose his cool
to go in, right?
He's got no emotion. He doesn't have that emotional energy. Like, Fessy gets really emotional when he gets flustered, and that's not alpha. Where Cal's doesn't get emotional. He stays cool even when he gets attacked. He says people want to see him lose his cool, but he's not going to give him that satisfaction. Even the way he handled himself in the deliberation. Brilliant. Like, turned it back on Josh, saying, Josh, you're the last person I'm going to tell, or you're the last person who's going to know, and you're not a tactical mastermind. And you could see the other vets were loving it, even though they know they have to have Josh's back at this point because there's this rule between the vets. But I love Kels. Like, I mean, this guy, I don't even remember him. I watched Too Hot to Handle the first season. It's one of the few dating shows that I did watch, and I found it really funny. But I don't remember him from that season. He made such an impression on me in the limited amount of time that we've seen him here.
Yeah, I
True.
mean,
Biggest
so
fan.
with Too Hot to Handle, he was too serious. Like he was so serious. Like he wasn't gonna kiss anybody. He shut it down when he heard like something will cost you money. He shut it down, and then the cameras were like, "Well, you're not making out with anybody. You're not getting into hot water, and so we're just gonna take the cameras off you," which was bad mistake. Also, like we talked about with Ed, that's not the game show for Kels. This is the show for Kels. He gives
Yeah.
me that like old school challenge vibe where it
Mhm.
kind of reminds me of like a Landon in personality
Ooh.
wise, where Landon didn't go into many alliances. He came into the game, he just wanted to play, he wanted to compete, and that's all he wanted to do. Let's just go. We'll go one-on-one. I'll go into any elimination I have to, and let's just see who's the better competitor. And that's the kind of vibes I got from Kels. It's just like old school. Let's go compete. I'm not going to make deals with anybody. If they're, I just want to go. Let's just go. I'll rip somebody's head off. And it was amazing. Like 2 weeks in a row, we get these like amazing rookies and they're just walking out the door. And it's like, I feel like I want to just have like go into the future, get a couple more episodes or a couple more seasons where they've been on, because I just want to binge what they're going to do in the seasons or in the challenge. Gosh, I hope that we get him back on the season. Him and Michaela. I would love to see him back on the show.
Totally agree. They're just like it is really sad that they were gone out so early, but they made a big impression. I can't imagine the producers being like, "No, do you know what? I'm going to bring back like somebody a lot less boring." Like they're not going to bring back Tracy over Michaela. You know what I mean? So hopefully we will be seeing them moving forward. And I think that with Michaela being on Aftermath this week as well, I think it shows that she's still maybe liked by the franchise. She also did an Instagram live. I think I saw you in the comments there, Drew,
Yes.
with who was in there? Was it Tracy and Tasha? And no, sorry, it was Big T, Tasha, Fessy, and Michaela. And so the fact that she's still kind of in the group and like she's still part of the conversation, I think that bodes really well for Michaela at least having a future. So.
Yeah, Sam says he sees most of these rookies coming back in a future season, and then also lists almost all of the rookies here. Emmy, Michelle, Emmanuel, Kels, Corey, and also Ed there as well. And Love by You did love Esther this episode, and we'll get into that a little bit later on as we continue to talk about it. Obviously, one of my African queens that are playing this game that I'm going to be supporting all the way, and I'm really loving what Esther's doing so far. Yeah, I think that, you know, Cal's going out this season saying that, you know, he thought Fessy was the villain and they made him the villain by the end of it. I didn't see him as a villain throughout this at all, and I don't think anybody else that looked at this looked at him as a villain. We just knew you're the new guy, you're going to get thrown and you're going to have to try and survive. Sadly, he didn't get to go up against someone in a one-on-one because I think like it could have been pretty good, but I mean it's there's a big weight difference if they had to go up against each other in like a hall brawl or something like that. I think Cal's would be one of those people, you know, it would be good to see him go up against Fessy and something like that. I know it's like every time who can take Fessy on in a hall brawl, but I'm really hoping that they put Fessy, they do him dirty in the same way, because Fessy had the opportunity here to take the first shot at the veterans, and a lot of the veterans thought that he would do it. And Fessy used this as an opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to show you guys the olive branch here. I'm not going to throw you into it. There's a lot of people who would want to throw me into it, but I'm gonna reach out and say, let's keep this strong, this veteran thing strong. But we all know that this house that they're building, this alliance that they're building, is built on shaky foundations. Do we think
and on people that want to win?
Exactly. Do we think this was a good move, or what do you think, Chantel? Do you think that this is going to come back to bite him? Because I've got a feeling it's going to come back to bite him.
I think it's going to come back to bite him for sure. I could see like a couple, you know, they'll let it kind of simmer for a couple weeks and be like, oh, thank you so much, Fessy, for like winning this, or for like not targeting us. But I can see CT wanting to gain some power and like eventually like sending Fessy down into something where he thinks he's not going to come back out and get rid of Fessy. Like I do see that being a potential for the future. So it might have bided him some time, not taking that first shot, but I don't know if they're going to go along with it all the way to the end. I just can't see them not taking the shot when they have the opportunity.
I think that this was such a blown opportunity to throw in Kels, who we were talking about is big, is a very physical threat. He's very mental, and where I think he has no fear. Like, this is the perfect person to throw in against a CT type. Like, this is
Mhm.
your prime opportunity that he's not going to get shaken in the moment because of a legacy or anything. Like, you need to like be able to hold on to him and then throw him in when the time was right against CT. I think just taking the shot because you don't like the guy or he's getting too close with Tori or whatever you want to say. I mean, I think it was just a missed opportunity. I don't think that CT would be the first one to turn on the vets just because he wants that protection. With the Vets
Yeah.
Alliance, nobody's going to be touching him. So he's going to just kind of, I don't even think he wants to win any of the challenges.
He's
He wants
just
to
like
mitigate that.
hiding.
Yeah, even the camera who loves him in the confessionals love him. He's not getting that many right now. There's so many other things going on, especially Nelson, who I think would take the first shot if he was in
Or
power and he's
Fessy.
like, oh, I want to take Fessy. Let's just throw him in, kind of thing.
We'll probably talk about it more, but one thing I was confused by is why the women were so willing to let Kells go, because they're going to be running a final most likely with people that they want to have a good partner. The reason why Amber B for sure won was she had a good partner in CT that was willing to keep up with her and her stamina, but then eating all that shit and like being able to do these puzzles. Like she needed to have a good partner to win that final. So the fact that they would let somebody who would be potentially a good partner just go like that, I thought that there would have been a little bit of pushback.
Jessica here says that these vets do not want to win. Why are you listening to Josh for your political moves? And I mean, Josh was all over this episode. Like, I mean, hate him or love him. One of the things, and I think most people hate him, or they're somewhere in between. One of the things about Josh is as he's continued to come on the show, you've got to give him credit for making really, really good social connections. I mean, this season, how many people are really coming in here wanting to take a shot at Josh? Because firstly, Josh is not the biggest physical threat to them if it comes to the end of the game. So people don't see him as a threat in regards to trying to win the money against him. But also he's made friends with people that previously used to hate him, like Devin. Him and Devin are working very closely together. We see them playing chess together, talking about the moves. Josh is the one, funny enough, Kels thought Fessy was the one that was telling Josh to go and put Kels out there. But it really felt like Josh is the person at the moment who's really pulling the strings, and Fessy is like his muscle that's in front of him at the moment.
I think it's because they would all love to run a final against him, to be honest. It's like, well, why are we going to get out this guy when we know we can beat him in a final? So let him be all messy. Let him take out all the big guys, whatever. He can do whatever he wants. We'll back him up and support him, because if he's here at the end, I don't really feel that intimidated by him. So he can run the final with us. That's my thought.
I do want to answer a comment you just said is, why would they let Kells go? And it's because there's no real strategy going on here. The only strategy is survival at this point. I was like, oh, the vets are coming into Alliance because they want to win, and the rookies are kind of just like floundering, doing their own thing, maybe listening to their partners. But really, the rookies are just listening to their partners or doing whatever to survive, to not get thrown into the elimination. And then the vets are all banding together so they don't get thrown into an elimination by the rookies, who aren't necessarily trying to band together at this point. So it's just like everybody's just in survival mode at this point. They're still getting their bearings on the game. And I'm enjoying this season, but I think once the vets start turning on each other and everybody is like, let's do this, like, I want to win now, then it's just going to be like, the cap's off. Let's go. Fireworks are going. I'll be excited when that day comes.
It's interesting because, there's two of the rookie girls who seem to be sort of awoken and have taken the red pill here. And that is Priscilla and Tasha. Like those were the only two that said something more is going on here. We're not going to be led in a way where we're going to vote the way that the house wants us to vote here, but they don't have any power. I mean, two people here, and I don't know how well connected they are. It did look like Kel's had some good connections, potentially with Esther as well. He was pretty confident Esther wasn't going to throw him into the elimination if he could avoid the house vote. Obviously, he didn't avoid that. But let's talk a little bit about this partnership of Esther and Fessy so far. Like, I know a lot of people don't like Fessy. I mean, Fessy's coming into this season. Clearly he's doing some work to try and clean up his image, and he saw that it wasn't good in the previous season, and the producers are trying their best as well, I think, to paint him in a different way here. And he's coming to the show, he's doing Ramadan, which is hard because you can only eat at certain times of the day. He got quite emotional when he said he wasn't sure how he was going to perform this season. You can see him almost tear up, saying he didn't know if he wanted to do this season because he felt he was going to be at a disadvantage. Esther, such a breath of fresh air as well, similar to how Ed has been for the guys coming into the show. Really wanted to prove herself, being the first Nigerian to come and win a challenge on the show here, and just wanting to step up to compete and be a great partner for Fessy, I think has been really cool to see. And I mean, doing that challenge where you've got to throw those bags down to the person in the Range Rover in the bottom, it's not that easy. You're really relying on whoever's in the helicopter to do a good job. Yes, you've got to catch them, but the person up there really is going to make or break you, in my opinion. It's definitely a team approach, but she was doing really well and she was firing them in. I think Esther, I picked her quite high actually when I did my picks. I wasn't sure how she was going to go, but I feel pretty good about that pick at the moment. I think she's a potential dark horse here, and it seems like the producers love her as well because she gets a lot of time in the confessional booth.
Well, okay, so with the Fessy redemption arc, I definitely rolled my eyes when they're sitting on the bench and talking about, and he's like being encouraging and like telling her like he's happy to have her as a partner, and then she's like gonna go make him food, and he's like, no, I can't, I'm doing Ramadan. So like all of that was like, okay, Fessy, we know that you're trying to improve your image here. And so anyways, I rolled my eyes for that part. I'm happy that he's aware of how he was treating his partners. And so, if that is awareness, not just like performative, then I can go along with it. And with regard to the challenge, like I'm very impressed by Esther. I would love to have known how many sandbag or jewels they were throwing, because they did 30, and 30 was a lot. Some people were getting like in the early teens, and it was like, oh, okay. So they definitely did a great job. I'd love to see how many they had to work with, like, so how many misses there were. But when they won, though, I was just so annoyed because he was trying to act humble, but he always just had this like smile on the side of his face that like, yeah, I'm so good. Like, and I was just like, Fessy, like either just go with it, like be like, yeah, I'm awesome, I'm amazing. Don't pretend like you're being humble here. Like, Fessy. But good for Esther. I'm really happy that she did well. I think it'll be a good motivation for her to do better in the future. And it also will ensure that Fessy's going to be nicer to her for longer.
Yeah.
Just wanted to quickly add, Love by You is from Nigeria, and love that we've got the Nigerian fans that are also watching the show now. And Tasha is such a big personality in Nigeria. I think we spoke about that preseason, where she's already got over 1.5 million. She's a accomplished businesswoman, strong personality in Nigeria. They obviously both played Big Brother in Nigeria, and I think a lot of people would have thought Tasha, she was more of the superstar on Big Brother coming into this show. I think Esther's got a chip on her shoulder. I think she's come in to prove herself versus Tasha, and I think the reason that we're seeing more of Esther is just by the edit, and I could be completely wrong, I think she's going to go deeper than Tasha, and that's probably why we're seeing a little bit more of Esther at this stage, because Tasha is linked up to another rookie, and I forgot his name,
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah, there we go. So I mean, she's in no way secure at this point. It's still early days, and we haven't really seen much of Jeremiah as well at this stage. Sorry for interrupting you there, Drew. You were going to add to Esther as well.
No. I was just going to say that there was two things. One was when seeing the bench scene of them talking, in my brain, I instantly was like, are they going to win this week? Are they going to win this mission? And and also, I think they going last definitely has a benefit and advantage in these missions. And from seeing everybody else's like run where they're like just chucking it, some people are doing like one-handed catches and they're kind of just all over the place. Whereas you go to theirs and she's just firing them at the windshield. I think what their strategy is throw them at the windshield. It'll be a backboard. Well, definitely can grab. Fessy's tall enough. He can grab them off the windshield and then he can just pack them in and he can outrun Josh any day. Or Josh doesn't even want to win. Amber was yelling at him from the helicopter. So it doesn't even know that they were even like in contention to do anything in that episode. I don't think they had any form of strategy, but yeah, I think they had the strategy down. They worked well together and they definitely deserve this win.
100%.
Yeah, Amber kind of had like a disadvantage there, not being able to see all the like going last and not getting to see the strategy of that Esther was able to perceive. Sorry, go ahead.
No, 100%. I also wanted to add just here, Sam asked, does Emmanuel remind you of Jordan? And I think we spoke about that when we were doing our draft assessments of the players. And I said he reminded me of Jordan quite a bit, but he's a less obnoxious Jordan by the looks of it. So probably socially would do a bit better in the game. And obviously Emmanuel and Casey here again had an extremely good outing as well, getting in second place, collecting 28 of the gems versus the 30 that Fessy and Esther collected. So it was a pretty close race between them. And again, Casey doesn't always make for the most riveting TV. Her having some sort of a relationship here with Nanny, I think Nanny will become a bigger thing throughout the season as we progress through it. It will probably add a little bit to her persona on this season, but she's not going to be overly exciting, but I do feel pretty good having both Emmanuel and Casey really high up in my team when I chose different people, because they do look like they're going to work well together. And, you've got to take your hat off to Casey, because no matter who she works with, unless it's Fessy, she seems to do pretty well, right? So clearly she's good at working within teams. And I do think that, if Casey gets enough opportunity, she's got all of the right stuff to be a champion. Emmanuel, it's going to be tough. Can he do what Turbo did in his first season, coming in and winning this game? That's a tough ask for a rookie to do, but we've seen it happen before. Amber won hers, but there was a bit of luck involved with Amber's. Turbo was very, very intimidating when he came in, and I don't think Emmanuel has got that intimidating personality at all. I don't think people are going to be afraid to throw him into eliminations at some point in the game.
Well, there's in one of the trailers, it might have been the super trailer, that I think it was Devin saying that I don't know who the he is, but I'm assuming now it might be Emmanuel. It's either Emmanuel or Logan at this point is whom I'm thinking. Like, he's come in like the top 3 in every single challenge so far. So I'm wondering if it is Emmanuel, if he's going to get targeted by the vets soon for being good. So yeah, I don't know if his longevity is going to be there, because I think that the vets might be intimidated by him doing so well, and they want to probably, weaken the guys. Casey who?
Who's Casey again?
I will
also,
say,
side note, I didn't notice this, but apparently Logan kept the braids in his hair from the birthday party last week. I didn't notice it personally.
Yeah,
I saw the braids.
Yeah. I will say that Casey and Emmanuel's and also Corey and Bettina, they all went at the same round. And that round confused the heck out of me, because why is Bettina in the car? Why is Corey up in the helicopter? Maybe she doesn't like heights, but that was very much confusing in my opinion. And then also Casey has played wide receiver in football. So I thought she was going to be in the car catching, but maybe Emmanuel can't throw as well, or they didn't trust his throwing ability. I just thought like maybe the team should have been swapped from that round. So that's the only thing that confused me in the mission.
But 28 is pretty good.
Oh yeah, definitely. They did great. But maybe Casey gets those one-handed grabs. You never know.
Odell Beckham. She was so good in Big Brother. Actually, you're right. In those, she did like 3 competitions where she was just like grabbing things out of thin air. So yeah, you could be right about that.
Yeah, I wonder if it came down to the fact that they had to do that run at the end. I'm not too sure how long of a run it was, and they thought, okay, we need someone with some real good speed. If both of us are going to be pretty close to each other in skill set, but I do get where you guys are coming from. You've played in that position, and that's your profession, so you definitely expect someone to go out there. And I mean, if they caught 31, you only need to catch one more, and you win regardless of your time when you run that last section of the course. Okay, so we also have a question here from Jessica. Speaking of Turbo, can we talk about Berna? She's gorgeous, and I do want to talk about Berna because there's a lot of drama in this episode with Berna, and she is gorgeous. I do agree with you, Jessica. Nelson is being a bit messy here early in the season. He's got this relationship, friendship type of thing going on with Ashley. He's coming in, he's saying he's a free agent. Ashley's a free agent as well. They're just friends, but they do like to have fun together. But clearly the communication is not there, because Ashley is starting to have a bit more feelings for Nelson, and it's not being reciprocated by Nelson here. And he's also flirting, and you see it throughout, even at the celebration. Ashley's saying it's her man, but Berna also comes in for the hug, also celebrates with him. It's just awkward to watch something like this playing out. And we all know, like Devin said, it's not millionaire Ashley anymore. It's meltdown Ashley, because she has more meltdowns than money. This is not going to turn out well for both of them at some point.
Didn't you guys ask me last week if I thought she was going to have a meltdown? I was like, yeah, I do think she's going to have a meltdown. I think Nelson loves this attention, even though it's negative attention. Like, he just loves being with fiery girls that are going to be pissed off with like his actions. And he's like, I didn't do anything. I was just talking to her. And it's like, oh, you were doing something. Like he knows how to set these girls off. He dated Angela. They were on Dr. Phil, where they had a very fiery, explosive relationship. So I do think that he really likes these types of dynamics with his relationships. And Berna, to me, seems like she didn't really know what she was getting herself into. Like, just this guy's flirting with her. She's new to the game. Like, oh, I didn't know that you have something going on with Ashley in this way, that like I'm infringing on anything. She's like, I don't want any problems. So I felt kind of bad for Berna that she was kind of roped into a situationship that has nothing to do with her really, and that she's probably going to have to, you know, go in now if like Ashley wins any power, just because of like just the competition factor for Nelson. Oh.
Is it Bertha or Berna?
Oh my God! Sorry, did I say Bertha, or did you just like joking about the title of like I'm Ashley? Oh my gosh!
No, you said Berna.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
you're good. Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm a little disappointed with Nelson because I thought with how last 2 seasons went that he would come in like more focused than ever. That he would be wanting to like be all in the game, and he is just like lost in the sauce right now. He is just like, whatever, we're doing this. Like, I'm just going all in on everything else but the game. I think maybe he's getting too comfortable with the All Vets Alliance, that maybe he's just like,
was that your first draft pick? That was your number 1 draft pick.
That's my number 1 draft pick.
Correct.
That's my number 1 draft pick. So that's why
Corey's looking really good at the moment.
So I'm looking so frustrated right now because he's getting lost in the sauce. Speaking of awkward when they came back from the bar to the challenge house and Ashley's telling where Berna has to leave from, like that got me so like, and then they kept on yelling Bertha like over and over again. I was like, this is the most awkward I think I've seen in a while on the challenge of like, you need to leave. She walks one way. No, you go that way to walk away. It's like, all right, I'm done with this scene. Like, let's move on here.
On my other draft that I'm doing with my two friends on my channel, I have all these messy characters, and like we have points for like, you know, if there's any sort of kissing or like makeout scenes or like fights, like we're getting different points, as well as like the winner who wins the daily and all that stuff. And like I have everybody on my team. I have Nelson, I have Ashley, I have Berna, like all these Bessie, and so like I gained so much points this week because it was like an actual train wreck with all the people on my draft pick. So
I was about to say,
good about it.
Nelson is the MVP of that draft. If we're going by messiness, I mean, Nelson's number 1.
Yeah.
Love by You says he's been booed up for a whole though, so let him be. A lot of laughing emojis there. Listen, I think we all love it from a TV aspect. I think it's bringing some drama to the show, and it's going to be exciting to watch. We just don't know if it's gameplay wise, if it's the smartest thing for him to get involved in this messiness so early in the game. I think at some point it's going to come back to potentially haunt him. But Nelson is getting a lot of screen time early here because of obviously this that's going on and the whole thing between him and Fessy. I wouldn't count him out. I think that Ashley isn't going to come for him at this point. She's going to come for Berna, and Berna is the person who's really in a lot of trouble here. And CT even says, you know, there's the one confessional he got this whole episode. He said, you know, like I'm in a bad place because him and Ashley do get along pretty well as well. And he tried to select Ashley for his partner in the previous season because they get along and they've done well before in a final. I believe they've won in a final, haven't they, as a partnership before? So he gets along with her really well. And he's also got Berna, who's his partner here, who he's trying to work with in the game. But we all know it's going to be fluid. A lot of partners are going to swap and change throughout the season. So it's going to be exciting to see where this is going to end up. Now, I am quite interested. You know, I sort of spoke about, and I joke, you know, Chantel being the champion, even though she is the champion at the draft picks at this point. We do get the previous champion coming back, Ashley, for this season. And, you know, CT was one of the few people that looked excited by that. They actually focused the camera on him when she came back up. I think CT is probably thinking, if I get an opportunity to get her close to the final, I'm taking her again because I know how to run a final with her. And we complement each other really, really well, which would be a smart move, you know. But the rest of the sort of people out there, they're not too happy. And Josh is going to have to do some major work here with Fessy to make sure that Amber doesn't get thrown into the elimination early on in this game. And I think that, you know, he is overestimating his own ability to keep Amber in check, because for me, Amber coming into this season, I don't think she's going to stay loyal to that group at all. And I think she's been burned. And I actually love this more fiery, spicy side of Amber coming out. She's been on a season before now. She's won one. she's playing with house money this season. I think that if she stays around for a while, I think we're going to see a very different Amber this season compared to what we saw last season. I don't think she wins this one. I think she's got too big of a target, but I think she's going to have a lot of fun and blow up some games this season if she's left alone for long enough. So I'm really happy. I was really annoyed when they didn't pick her to come back, because it would have been the second season in a row where a female wins the game and they don't come back. And in my opinion, I know, Chantal, you don't always agree with this. I think that if someone's a champion, they should come back by default the next season to defend their crown. That's my personal opinion about it in any case. And I was really annoyed not to see Amber come back early in the season. So luckily we do see her come back here.
Well, they gave her a sexy entrance. Like, excuse me. Like, I think they're trying to make up for that fact that they didn't have her on as like the first tier of the cast this season. But when she came out, I wasn't sure. She should have said like, the champ is here. Like, maybe not paint that target on her like so overtly. It would have been nicer if she kind of like was just like, yeah, I'm here. But I loved her coming out of that sports car and like speeding down that runway. And I thought it was a really, really sexy entrance. So.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris, that I think if you won and you want to come back. And she has a great attitude. I mean, she's in the helicopter yelling. She's like hanging out and she's yelling at Josh. I mean, she has that intensity, but she's like, I love this game. Like in the first like 5 minutes of like walking into the house. So, I mean, I'm happy that she's back. I think she definitely should have been a part of the original cast. And oh my gosh, like Fessy, seriously, like you look so pathetic when you're in your confessional, like, oh, Amber's here. I don't like her. I want to throw her in. It's like, all right, dude, like calm down. Like seriously, like you're acting absolutely ridiculous. Like
all I have to say is I'm sorry. Like it was a game. I played poorly. I'm sorry that you saw how what we were saying about you. We had a stronger relationship with the other people in our alliance than we did with you. I'm sorry that you felt that way. Just say that and she'd be like, wow, thanks for stepping up and owning your feelings and owning like how you treated me. And, we can move forward, not try to get her out. Like you should want to run a final with her because she's a winner. Like it was very bizarre that how he was taken. And it was another eye roll from me about Fessy this episode.
And he'll paint it like, oh, well, she'll come after me. Like after last season, oh, she'll definitely come after me. It's like, whatever, dude. Like she's not paying you any mind right now. She's hanging out with so many more fun people and making out with Jeremiah probably in the background. Not even giving you a second thought, dude.
Christina B is asking, is your draft just who wins straight up, or do you have points for other things? At this point, still early days with this podcast. We've just done a straight up win, but definitely, I think as we continue to do these draft picks, hopefully for future seasons, we'll start thinking about how we can spice it up for daily wins and things like that. I think it would be exciting and probably a little bit more fair than just having one person all out winner takes all type of draft, because some players can be MVPs without actually winning the show. So, but for now,
I lost last season because I just by 5 points, like with my other friends, because she had a messier team. She had like Josh on her team or something, and he had a bunch of fights. And so I had the winner, and like I had a lot of other great people, but I lost by 5 points because like he had a little bit more messy.
So Jessica saying she disagrees with me, doesn't like the sassy energy of Amber B. It doesn't seem like it's genuine. She's trying too hard. I do think she's trying. Definitely, I got that a little bit from her on it. Because I think with Amber, she is genuinely a really nice person. Like if you've seen her Big Brother when she was in Big Brother, she was kind of voted out there because she was being too nice to some of the people, and they thought that it was her being flirty, and it became really
Caleb's
awkward.
fault.
Caleb's fault, 100%. And it's just because I think Amber, by nature, but just who she is, she's a really, really nice person. And it doesn't come natural to her to be sassy. But I appreciate her trying to be a bit more sassy and bring a bit more spice and personality to the show, because I feel like she knows she nearly missed out on this season, probably because of the fact that she doesn't have an over-the-top personality to begin with. So she can grow into that. I'm not going to, sort of mark points against her for trying to be a little bit more sassy. Also, Kelly says, Gabbo snagged 25 gems in the Valley. Did anyone see that? I didn't notice that at all, because Gabbo is an interesting character, saying, he just wants to be on American TV. He saw Jersey Shore, and it is what got him into wanting to be on American TV. And he doesn't look like he's going to take things too seriously, but he said he's got popcorn muscles. But if he did 25 gems, that's not bad. Who's his partner? Does anyone
Nani.
off the top of your head?
Nani.
There we go. That's why, because Nani's good. Like she's done so many of these seasons now. She's got the experience. It's probably helped him quite a lot in the challenge.
He was in that supercut with everybody, like CT and everybody. Just like at one point, they were just going rapid fire and just like showing like 5 teams until Amber showed up, and they just like really supercut that because they were like, it's the same thing over and over again, and none of these teams win. So let's just keep going.
Oh, interesting comment here. Lapway says, did you guys see the aftermath? They revealed in the secret vote that CT isn't voting with the vets. Are we shocked?
No.
No, CT always does his own thing, right? And this game, it's perfect for someone like CT and even Kyle. Kyle, there's a lot of conversation here about, are we surprised that Anissa has been sort of not been given an edit in the show so far? I'm more shocked by Kyle absolutely getting nothing so far in the show because Kyle is great at confessionals. And, he's someone that this type of gameplay where you can't see where the votes are going, like he's going to play a sneaky game at some point if he gets the opportunity. I think that's probably just sort of waiting to happen. But with Anissa, we at least see her and Tori and that relationship and her trying to give Tori a little bit of a heads up as to where the votes are going to go this episode. And Tori knows that she's probably being tested to see where her loyalty is ultimately, either with the vets or with the newbies. And she was never going to have Kels's back in this situation. She needs the numbers.
So I mean, I get why she didn't have his back, and it's like, too bad, like, like you got done. But like, I was like, Tori, just be a better friend. Like, you're cuddling with this dude. Like, why don't you work on a plan to maybe save him or like do something? Like, you don't have to go against the vets necessarily if you offer up another maybe alternative, being like, hey, like, I like this guy. I think we're working really well together. I don't think that he's going to come for you because like if I tell him not to come for you, so like let's use him as a weaponize whatever it is. Like, I wish that she was a little more strategically minded instead of being like, sorry, you're not a vet, like, so like gotta let you go. It's just like, Tori, meh. I wasn't happy that she didn't stand up for him.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, we know that the Vets Alliance is just a short-term thing. It's going to implode at some point. So the person that makes the most connections, especially on the rookie side, and can keep them safe as we go further into the game is going to be the one that makes it out on top. That can make it further into the game. And so when you have somebody who's never going to say your name or want to throw you in, that's a gem that you need to hold on to and really try to like spin it away to somebody else, deflect, do something else, have a secondary name that could be potentially like disrupting in the game that makes people feared. Just make up some lies, apparently, like Josh does. Like, why not? Just say that they're making deals with everybody. And even when they pull out receipts, it doesn't matter. We just all vote for them anyways. I think that's who's going to make it farther into the game. Because like we said, it's just going to implode. But you need the numbers. You definitely need them.
I've got a take on it. I think Tori's playing scared this season. She's had a couple of seasons where she's gone early. I don't think she feels like she's got the social capital to move people at the moment. I think playing scared is not a good strategy for her because that vet alliance, there's so many people that have played so many seasons together now. Like, I mean, the fact that they're okay with Fessy and Casey and Josh consistently coming back each season and having each other's backs, for me, is just absolute craziness. So that they need to cut those three. Those are probably the tightest three in the game at the moment that are gonna sort of work together and refuse to turn on each other. Amber, funny enough, they look at Amber and like you guys quite rightfully said, Fessy is like, oh, I need to cut her. Amber could be the perfect person for them to bring in. They need those numbers and to try and make amends with her and get Amber to work with some of the newer players as well, because she's a vet only by numbers. She's only played one season. She doesn't have the same allegiances to the vets. She can work on that newbie group like she did the previous season. It's what worked so well for them that season, is that Amber had the newbies. She was working with them. Another player that I'm probably more shocked by that she's had very limited edit so far, and it does make me worried about how far she's going to go in the game, is Big T. Big T is really good at playing with the new players every season. And there's a little scene at the end of this episode where they say that Big T is kind of getting caught out playing both sides again, which is, it's kind of her game to play that way. I am worried about Big T because we don't see much of her. There was that really funny confessional at the end where she looks at what's in the lair and she's like, oh, that looks like something she's quite familiar with. And it was really funny, but we don't get to see much of her at the moment in the show.
Yeah, I mean, two things I will say that talking about you bringing up Tori and playing a scared game, it goes back to the theory of everybody's just looking for survival at this moment. It's too early. They don't want to paint a target on their back, so let's just hold back whatever the wave goes. Let's just ride it, kind of how like what Kel says in the thing. Why rock the boat? Let's just sail the waves right now. And so that's exactly what she's doing. And there's a thing in the post or the post show where Big T was talking about how she wasn't in this plan at all. Like everybody, I guess, just assumed that she was really tight with Kels. So all the vets who are making this vets alliance, but Big T isn't necessarily in the plans or in the meeting room or even let in on the plan going into deliberation. She's just like, oh, well, I was just left out in the cold. What is that going to do for her? Like now her game is kind of exploding with everybody kind of like just putting her in the rookies alliance. But there's no rookie alliance, and now they're not really holding her into the vets alliance, even though she's a vet. So now she's going to be in this like middle ground, and the only person that's like around is Tommy, who threw people under the bus already. So I mean, I don't trust. Who's she going to trust at this moment?
Yeah, I'm feeling bad for Big T. I think it was on the aftermath that she was saying she's like I had no idea what was going on, and Josh kind of apologized to her, like, oh, like yeah, we thought that you were like, and this like. He painted some sort of target on Big T, and Big T actually had no understand why. Like, she's like, why me? Like, why did this happen? And Josh didn't really even give her a good answer as to why it was happening. So this is telling me that maybe Big T leaves the next episode. Like, because, if that's, you don't think? You won't have it.
I don't want it to happen, but I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't want it to happen.
The reason why I think it's going to happen is like, why did it end like the episode, like with her, like not knowing what's going on and her being worried, and I don't know, or like maybe she'll go in and she'll come back out, because it just seems like there's something that's going to be unresolved at the end of the season. And so I'm wondering if like she goes out without knowing why she went out,
Yeah, I want to go back to Tori, being this person that everybody chooses, because we've had both Devin being chosen twice and now Tori is being chosen twice here as well, and Ed chooses to go to Tori. Why do we think the newbies are sort of gravitating towards her at the moment? Is it just purely because they think that she is like, I feel like her peak on the challenge, and I could be wrong, like, listen, if she wins this season and proves me wrong, so be it. But I feel like her peak on the challenge was a couple of seasons ago when she was still with Jordan and he was probably training her like a crazy person. And she looked like she could become that next person, that next female that's going to do extremely well when she was being thrown in elimination after elimination. And she was winning all of them. She took Jenny West out in a hall brawl like nobody saw that coming. She looked like she could do pretty well, but for some other reason, I feel like she's overvalued this season by the newbies. And I can't put my head around why that is and why people are choosing her consistently.
I think she's talking to everybody. I mean, I know that we don't particularly enjoy Tori, but I think she is making social connections with the rookies. I think she learned from the last season where like calling them layups and all that stuff, how powerful the rookies actually can be. And so I think that she's paying attention and being friendly with them. She's being friendly with Corey. And so Corey wanted to choose her because like they kind of got along really well. And I'm sure that like Ed has a great personality. I'm sure like Ed and her were laughing about things together. And so like, oh, like she's strong. We get along, like she's a vet, like let me go with Tori. So I think that she's doing her job as like building certain friendships with some of these rookies, and that's why she might be strong and friendly with them, that they're picking her.
I think definitely the social game helps out. I think a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on a rookie season, and I think that's just like she's able to ride that wave all the way up to now. And I think a lot of people put a lot into that. She also made the finals very recently in 34. Probably her social game, but also being a part of the official challenge podcast, people look at you differently. They're looking at you like, oh, you're in with the challenge. You know the challenge history. You know all the social cues and stuff. You must know something more. That's why you're on the official challenge podcast. So I think a lot of people are putting a lot of weight in that as well. But it's probably also the social game. Her and Ed probably hit it off the best out of everybody in his short time there, and he just decided to go with her.
It makes sense. I think for me, it's quite interesting. They end up putting a bit of a death threat on another group here as well, because if you steal these veteran partners, you also, at the same time, you're potentially tanking to newbies their games who are attached to these veterans. And it could also be a case of them having stronger relationships with other people that are out there. Like we know Emmy and Emmanuel is pretty close, for instance, and she probably would have said to Ed after that, don't choose, Casey, for instance, because that could put Emmanuel in a bad spot. So there might be some more strategy going on there as well when it comes to that, because Michelle and Coriel, they're going to end up being together at the end of this episode. They're a new partnership now moving forward in the game. And we know that that's just the target that's ripe for the picking now. It's the worst thing that could have happened to both of them being partnered together. They're a team, like Coriel says, that have already won in the elimination one round. So, putting my sort of tinfoil hat on or looking into the future here, I can see the whole Tommy and Big T potentially being thrown in there so that Tommy and Michelle goes up against each other if people knew that they had that connection and that they're friends. I can very easily see something like that happening for the next episode. So I am a little bit fearful of what this means. And it does look like Big T isn't being valued the way that she should be within that veteran alliance this season. And there isn't really that much trust for her for some other reason, which is sad to see because I'm a big T fan. And, I'm also a big Michelle fan. So don't really want to see them go up against each other.
I can see that scenario, guys. And I think that Corey and Michelle would come out on top in that if that was the matchup. So let's hope that Corey and Michelle win the daily. And so that won't be what's happening.
I think we have to be worried about the mission that's going to be happening, because it looks like there's some choppy waters. Michelle's going to hit her face on the rock. There's a point in the super trailer that I will not bring up because it might be a little bit too spoilery, but there's something that's going to very interesting that happens in one of the scenes that I saw. And it looks like this next mission is going to be very intense. So I'm not even thinking about the elimination. I'm just hoping people make it out alive in this mission that's coming up.
Well, we know that she can swim, right? So hopefully, but she's small, so I don't know how that current, if that's going to be really super bad, but maybe she's going to be able to pull out a win because she has a good swimming capabilities.
True. It's going to be interesting to see how they go. I mean, seeing Michelle with the bloodied face, she's played Survivor. She's gone through some extreme circumstances. I have got no doubt she's going to get through this like a champion and prove what a badass woman she is at the end of this. But I do know what you're referring to in that super trailer, because we do see someone on their back that looks like they're out of it, and we see another person crying, their partner. So that could come into play this one. So I think that, we won't talk about it now. We don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but that could come into play in this next episode for sure. I do want to also touch base on Emmy here, obviously, and we had the comment there about her being 22, and maybe that's why she's got a bit of crybaby energy. I think for Emmy, she's an interesting character. I knew after episode 1 she was going to be in big trouble for the move she pulled and outing the rookies. I just didn't know if there was that much value in outing the rookies and becoming such a vocal person. I don't think she can help but be very vocal and be that loud character that she is. And I think it's great for the show, but I really am fearful for Emmy in this game. I don't think Devin will want to be attached to her for very long in the game. I think she's someone that he's going to struggle with. He's going to try and probably blindside his own partner, because they can do it. They can vote people in individually. I think Emmy is another person. She's not going deep into this game. I think she's going to be a fighter this season. She might win a couple of eliminations, because even though she's got this crybaby energy, she seems to get really focused when she's down there, and to have big match temperament like that, to go in there and get it done when you need to get it done, that counts for a lot. So, but yeah, like I said, I don't think Devin's going to want to be attached to that for very long.
I love her calling Mr. TJ. Mr. TJ. I think it's so cute. She is a little bit, overwhelmed, and it's coming out with tears and not feeling like she's good enough and all that stuff. So that's a bit of age and being that's a lot that's going on this show. It's for a lot of money. It's on TV. It's with all these people that are older than you, and you're having doing something that you've never done before. So I can see it being really overwhelming. And so I am really happy that she was able to, at the end of this episode, go into the lair and actually come out with a win. So hopefully that's going to give her some confidence that maybe she's not going to be so scaredy cat about everything anymore. And she's going to go down and be like, Mr. TJ, I got this, and have a little bit more bravado.
Now, guys, have we missed anything before we go into the cast and look at the draft? Is there any big talking points that we haven't sort of addressed? And while we think about this and go into the cast as well, for those that are in the live, throw a couple of questions our way for the end of the episode, and we'll go through them in a bit of a speed round for you. Is there anything we missed? Anything that stand out? I think we've spoken about all of the main talking points.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I think we'll go into our sort of picks here to see who we lose. So I've already gone, Chantel, and replaced Laura for you with Amber.
Lauren. Yeah,
Lauren. Yeah. So what a great addition to your team, even though she's in that last spot. Such a great addition to have in that last spot. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if she's going to win, but I think that she will have a good season. She's got a massive target on her back. I mean, you've got basically on both ends, you've got the last season champions, you've got CT right at the top, and you've got Amber right at the bottom there. So a great sort of addition. Do we know why Lauren was disqualified from the show at all? Was that ever addressed?
It was never addressed by MTV or her, but she did do an Instagram live and she denies that she did anything wrong. She said it was alleged that she made some racial remarks towards Anissa, that a lot of the people said that she was very loud and boisterous in the parties. And allegedly, a lot of people heard her say something, and before they could check the tapes, MTV just decided to pull her and deactivate her because, like, they're not gonna play around with this. They're not gonna take their time. If you're talked about doing something or alleged to doing something, they're just gonna pull you. So they just pulled her and they called an audible and brought in Amber. That's what I read.
What a shame. Like, I mean, you go up and play a game such as this, you're going to be on the big stage. There's cameras everywhere, like, what's the game plan here? Like, how much of an idiot do you have to be to go out there and make racial remarks on a show such as this? I just don't get it. She was from the UK, right? If I'm correct.
She's from the UK. She lives in LA. She was on Love Island season 2 of the US. And she's just a questionable person. It seems like she's clout chasing for sure. When she came off the season of Love Island, she met some guy, Garrett, at the airport, and they started dating and posting gazillion pictures, Instagram stories, etc. And then on this season of F-Boy Island, Garrett was on this show, and apparently he had a girlfriend, but he didn't have a girlfriend. And so on the show, they called Lauren to get them to know whether or not they were together still and if he was a good guy. So it looks like she's trying to find any avenue to get on TV a little bit more through reality TV. I don't think she was there to actually win. I think it was just for some publicity, some clout.
100%. Okay, well, we only lose one player here this round because Tracy was never selected by any of us in the beginning of the season. So, so it looks like we were pretty much bang on the money in regards to our assessment there. Like I said, she seems to be a really nice person. I don't know if the challenge is for her, though. Like, she just seems to be too nice. And I don't think we see her back personally again. But also, sadly, we are going to lose Kels here this round as well. And he is someone that I really want to see come back and play the show again and have another shot at it, because I think he had a lot of potential.
Oh, how annoying was it, like, in that elimination? Because he couldn't do anything about it. Like, he's super big, so I don't think she would have been capable of flipping that screen that he would have been on up and down. So it had to be that Kels was the one that was navigating whatever that board thing that she was on. But the fact that she couldn't do it and she kept on pulling up the thing, and people were like, no, hold the box, not the magnet. And like, she just kept on just pulling the magnet and allowing her damn cube to drop. I was just like, he really, really lost because of his partner. He couldn't really do anything about it, except maybe if he had, when he was waiting for her to get the magnet on her, the cube on her magnet, if he was maybe looking at the puzzle pieces and maybe arranging them in the interim, like, maybe that's something that he could have done that could have helped save a little bit of time, because they weren't that far behind them in the end. And so I just, I felt so bad, because I'm like, he could have won that if he had almost any other partner.
I agree. Another really funny moment there in the elimination that we didn't talk about is Devin shouting at Ed, "It's a map of the world." And I'm saying, I know that. I feel like Devin is so used to playing with people that are not the sharpest tools in the shed that he thinks he always needs to help people. I mean, I always remember Devin and Wes, them always trying to help certain people in the elimination. But obviously Ed, and that's why I like him so much, he's just he's a different character. You know, like he is smart. You know, he's got the brawn. He's got the funny social game to him as well. Like he brings a lot to the show. I'm loving it. But yeah, like really sad to see Kels go. I think we will see him again in the future. Who do we think this episode sort of? It's very hard to predict, but who do we have as our MVP for this episode? For me, it probably hate him or love him. I feel like the person who got their way was Josh. Like he pretty much ran the strategy this episode and got the person out he ultimately wanted.
But like it was like, what do you? I think it was him that said it. That's how you get things done. I'm just like, get out of here, Josh.
He's still an idiot.
It just so happens that it wasn't a physical thing. Like they were claiming now after, I think it was Fessy being like, well, we assumed that it wasn't going to be 2 physical eliminations in a row. So we thought that like this would be a good time to throw Kels in. Like, I don't know if they went through that much strategic thoughts about why they wanted to throw Kels in. I think that Fessy was just like shaking in his boots. He was shook, just like Kels said, and like wanted to get rid of him now that he had this power. And that Josh was just being like this stupid henchman that was like going to be a loudmouth in deliberation. I don't know if I can give him MVP here. Like that just, I think Ed's MVP. I don't know. I can't give it to.
I like it.
I can't give it to Josh.
So this is the thing. It's so early in the game. Anybody could have said a name first and everybody would have just went with it. He decided to throw out the first name and then he did way too much to be like, oh, he's making deals with everybody. You could have just not said anything and everybody voted and it would have been fine. Like everybody knew what the plan was coming in. I would have to give it to Esther as my MVP. Coming in, winning. She's making moves happen even if she doesn't necessarily want to see the person leave. She's doing the best she can and she won. She won this thing. So I give her MVP.
The reason why I didn't want to give it to Esther, not for her her ability in the challenge, but in the deliberation, if she's supposed to be friends with Kels, I don't think she helped his cause with staying in. She was like, go big or go home or whatnot. I was like, I don't know if that's the best for you, Esther, because someone might pluck and take Fessy away from you and you won't have that protection from the vets. It would be great to have a friend of yours, Kels, that's not going to throw you in, that potentially could be your partner later, someone that you could pick later. So I thought that her in the deliberation wasn't the best for her game. That's why I didn't want to give her MVP, but she did great in the challenge. So I was happy about it.
Your hands are tied at that point. You don't get a vote. You're kind of just sitting there and I'm sure she doesn't feel like she has the most influence in the house. So, I mean, once everybody is just rocking back and forth on Kels, she's just like, hey, if it's not Kels, cool. But it seems like everybody's mind is made up regardless. So I think your hands are tied in that sense.
I think it's really cool that we've got 2 newbies being thrown out there as MVPs, and Ed and Esther, and then I'm the only one that goes for a vet and Josh, and saying that he kind of got his way. It's promising for the rest of the season with having such a great new cast coming onto the show, and I'm really excited to see what the rest of the season is going to be like moving forward. And I agree with you, Drew. As soon as those vets start turning on each other, there's going to be some cracks and drama, and it's what I'm waiting for as well. I think it'll be a beautiful, beautiful explosion. It's been great talking to you guys. Drew, what are you up to over the next week? I know you've got a lot going on the Angel Cake channel. What are you doing at the moment?
At the moment, I'm doing reviews and recaps, Tiny Table Talks. I'm over here doing talking to you lovely people. And then I'm going to be coming out with a video this Tuesday for my channel that's not based on Spies, Lies, and Allies. And then I'm doing very steady research on a lot of other videos, specifically the Cara Maria one. I've gotten through all the way up to Rivals right now. So I'm just like mowing through all of her seasons and taking extensive notes. I can't wait to get that out. I'm looking to get it out like a month from now. So I'm hoping that's the case and it's going to be ginormous. And I'm excited. I'm excited.
What is it called? Like the evolution of Cara Maria.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one. I will look at that, because I kind of when I first watched the show, starting in Final Reckoning, and then went back all the way to Fresh Meats 2, I pretty much watched all of the seasons that Cara Maria was in. So I kind of experienced that evolution as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what your takes are on Cara Maria as a whole. And yeah, like I won't go too much into it. I know she's a polarizing character. I've got my opinions as well, but that's maybe for another podcast. Chantel, what do you have coming up?
Oh, finally, I don't have Love Island USA to deal with anymore. So I was doing, 2 shows a day. One show's done. Love Island UK will be ending on Monday. Like, it will be my last recap live at 3 p.m. Eastern. So happy that that's whittling down. Still doing Bachelor in Paradise, though. So live after each episode, which has been really fun. It's just light, easy breezy, like, silly love show. I definitely really enjoy that. And of course, after every Big Brother episode, we go live sometimes with some people from my channel, and sometimes we do some guestings on some other channels. So that, and then lastly on Saturdays with Nerdtainment, I do talk about Survivor South Africa. So 6 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays, Sarah and I do break down an episode. So I'm probably forgetting like 10 shows that I do, but come to Reality Realness with 3 S's. Subscribe, ring that bell so that you know whenever I go live, which is pretty much every day.
Drew, just something for you to take into consideration there. I don't know how many Ashley videos you've got at the moment, or people wanting you to do an Ashley video, but Sam's saying if you can take that into consideration as well. Now, looking at my schedule for the next week, I've been pretty busy here on Reality Pop doing a lot of podcasts on Australian Survivor, Survivor South Africa, and now also The Challenge. And I will be live in the next hour to talk about the latest episode of Survivor South Africa. And I tell you what, I don't know if you've seen the latest episode yet. I won't spoil it for you. In case
No,
you
don't.
didn't,
I'm going to watch it now.
No, I won't tell you. But I reckon this season is one of the best Survivor seasons of any franchise that we've seen so far. And I'm really...
Last episode broke my heart, though.
It did. It was my preseason winner pick that went in the last one, and I was so sad to see her go. But in any case, we won't go into any spoilers for those who haven't seen it yet. It's a great season. So if you haven't watched Survivor South Africa Immunity Island, do yourself a favor. If you like reality TV, if you like Survivor, go and get the episodes for that and watch it. It is a great, I think, an all-time great cast, an all-time great season, to the point where we're getting to the point end of the season that I actually don't mind any of these players winning, because I think everybody is playing the game so hard. It's a really well-balanced edit. You don't just get 2 or 3 people that that's going to be between those 2 or 3 that's going to win the show. It's really hard to predict who's going to go all the way and take it. So I've really been enjoying that. So we'll be back live in an hour to talk about that. Tomorrow we'll have the interview with the latest evicted castaway as well, and then we will have on Wednesday this coming week, Tuesday over here in the US, we'll have the next recap for week 6 of Australian Survivor, which has been a pretty interesting season. If you think that the US has got a lot of twists, Australian Survivor has said, how can we 2 times that this season? And I don't know if that's a positive thing or not, but there's a lot of twists being thrown into that season as well. It's been great talking to you guys. I'm looking forward to catching up next week, same place, same time, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to talk about the Challenge the Challenge Season 37, Episode 3. And thanks for everybody that was here in the live. We really appreciate you being really active and asking a lot of great questions. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.